Megatron from Beast Wars, made by Prime 1 Studios, is finally in the Extreme Collection. The best part of this, I actually paid $0 for him. Yep, had to do some stuff I'm not really proud of. Find out what that was. Welcome to the Extreme Channel. My name is Mr. X, and today we're looking at Prime 1 Studios' Megatron from their Beast Wars line. Really quick, if you like dinosaurs or Transformers, or you just think this is cool and you want to see other cool stuff, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We drop daily content of stuff like this, both brand new and old, but mostly brand new, and there's a bunch of giveaways going on, so check out some of my other videos for that. We're going to talk all about that. We're going to talk about this piece, the origins, the manufacturer, the price, which, as I said in the intro, mine was $0, which we'll talk about. We're going to do some close-ups with some paint, sculpt, rate everything on the extreme scale. If you don't know what the extreme scale is, go check out this review of my Jet Power Optimus Prime I recently launched. At the end of this, I'm going to show you where this sits in my temporary Transformers collection. I say temporary because I have a lot more coming. First one I actually have coming, I want to talk about it now, is I have the counterpart for this. So as I said, this is from the Beast Wars line by Prime 1 Studios. Beast Wars is a story about the Transformers in the Dinosaur age. And he's not a Decepticon, he's a Predacon. But it is Megatron, or a version of Megatron, who transforms into an organic dinosaur, obviously Tyrannosaurus Rex. And they also have the Optimus Prime. Here is the Optimus Prime right here, who is like a King Kong, a big monkey slash ape. And I have that on order from Prime 1 Studios, so you guys will see a review on that. But this guy I've been looking for a long time. Now, he actually retailed at $1,150 and $1,200. There's two different versions of him. The first version, which is the exclusive, which is what I have, has an additional switch out that you will see during design, and that retailed at $1,200, and they made 200 of these pieces. The collector's edition, they made 500, which doesn't have that additional switch out we're going to talk about, and that retailed at $1,150 or $1,149. Now, since it's been sold out for a long time, this piece, both the collector's and the exclusive, you typically don't see it going for less, and that's typical with Prime 1 Studios Transformers. They usually flip for a lot more money or sell in the secondhand market. Cheapest I've seen him is $1,500, and that's getting lucky, but usually he sells for about $1,700 to $2,000. Well, I have him on my eBay alerts, and he popped up, and I get on those right away, so it was just listed, and it was from a person who sells a plethora of different stuff out of Japan. So first of all, that's kind of a flag. Sometimes out of China and Japan, you get knockoff versions. So that worried me a little bit, especially the price was $1,100 shipped. So that was cheaper than retail. So I messaged the person, really responsive, and I said, hey, is this the original? Do you have the original packaging? Do you have the original instructions? Do you have a picture of the bottom and everything? And they got back to me right away. They had it all. So I was like, you know what? Let me pull the trigger. Worst case scenario is that they sent me pictures of everything. Worst case scenario is it is a knockoff, and I file an eBay claim and return it, and we're good to go. So went ahead and did it. They gave me tracking. A couple weeks later, they said it'd take a couple weeks to ship, and then the tracking got returned back to them. And they messaged me before I even messaged them, and they said, hey, the box was too big to ship out, so would it be cool if we broke it down into smaller boxes? So I had some concerns with that. That's already a red flag. But I said, I want the original art boxes, so you could they could fold that up, and if they could make sure it's not damaged, absolutely, I will take it. So they said they're good to go. They shipped it to me in two separate boxes, and I received the first box extremely nervous. The first box was the main piece and some of the other pieces that go on there, and I take it out, and not only can I tell it is original, but it was in perfect condition. Really excited. They actually used some of the original styrofoam. They cut it in half. A few days later, they messaged me and they said, we forgot one little piece, so you're going to see that, and that's being shipped separately. But then a few days after that, the base arrived, and the box was open, and things were rattling around inside. And there were some horrible damages, which we will see. And you guys know me, I'm pretty cool. I get tons of statues in. A lot are actually damaged. I'd probably say, honestly, a fourth of them. Some of them are easy repairs. I'll do it myself. Some are repairs take a little bit more time, and I'll reach out and say, hey, I want my money back, and you can have the statue back, or just give me $100 and we'll call it square. So I sent them pictures, and I said, please advise. I kind of throw it in the seller's court. A day went by, and next day I'm actually traveling, and I look at my email. I have a full refund. And they messaged me and they said, they're so sorry, here's all my money back. So I'm kind of at a crossroads. I didn't need all my money back. The breakages aren't very good. I mean, it's bad. It's in bad shape, but it's all in the back, which you'll see. So I gave him a 5-star review. I didn't expect all my money back. I'm not a scammer. I kind of feel like one, but here it is. So that was that story. Let's jump into this guy. Let's do dimensions on him, actually. So his widest point is kind of hard to tell, but it's probably up here. It's about 24 inches. Tall, he's about 27 inches. And his deepest point is probably 23, 24 inches, depending. There's a lot of things jutting out. But I got him to add to my Transformers collection, as I said. Really excited that I have him. I think there's some really good pros and cons on him we're going to talk about when it gets to the paint and sculpt. But as always, we start with concept. So I've never seen the Beast Wars series. I think it's a cartoon. I'm sure there's some literature on it too. So I don't know if this is accurate or not. I just know whether it looks cool or not. And we'll start at the base. With all Transformers, they kind of have a futuristic base. I always talk about it's kind of like Cybertron. And then on top of that, they have something that may or may not match the setting. So on top of the futuristic base, they have what you would expect dinosaurs to be roaming around in. There's rock and dirt and sand, and there's a bunch of defeated, what I would assume were Autobots, or the dinosaur version of Autobots. Some pieces from them. And I like that they added that. It tells more to the story. It's not as boring. Some of the big rocks jutting in the back. And he's in, I would consider this a dynamic pose. And he's showing, half of his skin is showing him as a dinosaur, and the other half is showing him as a robot. And some of his dinosaur pieces have morphed or moved to other areas. Now, as we move up this, one big thing is you really have to be okay with an organic Transformer. One that looks like human skin. It's not always metal. And I think that is the tough part to swallow of this statue. But moving up to the top, action dynamic pose, they're still showing off the big parts of the T-Rex. They're showing off the big parts of Megatron. I think that's really cool. I love the fact they turned this into a blaster, which we're going to look at. They're using part of the dinosaur skin as a shield. I like a lot of what they did here. It's hard for me to swallow the pill that a Transformer can transform into something living and organic. I don't like that personally, but I assume that's accurate to the Beast Wars story. I think the concept's pretty darn cool if you can swallow that. So the concept, I'm going to give it a W on our scale, which is a 4 out of 5. It's a rail. It's not quite a grail, but a statue that you definitely want. Now we're going to talk about design, and here's where I'm going to show you the broken parts. So it was mainly on the base. There is one small broken part on the dinosaur arm. His nail was broken off, and this I would have just lived with, painted it maybe a blood color even. But here's some breakages on the rocks. It's pretty bad. I've actually glued a little bit back together. Some of the pieces I couldn't even find, but remember the box was open, so I'm sure they fell out. Some more on the rocks. And these were glued back already, so I'll probably paint over them. And then here's the bottom base. And this is all in the back, which is obviously very helpful and nice. Just some more shots here. And unfortunately, as I said, some of the pieces are actually missing that broke off. And I'm not a sculptor. I'm not good at repairing statues. I can glue, I can paint to an extent, but that's about it. I'm not going to hold that against the Prime 1 Studios, though, because it's not their fault that they didn't, the reseller didn't package it well. With design, he comes in quite a few pieces, actually. So the base is one piece minus this sword that sticks in here. His body is one piece minus these kind of pads on the side. I don't even know what you'd call them. Very strong magnets, all of these have. His heels, which you'll see in the paint design, are some of these robotic aspects coming out, and I think that's more for stability. His back, he has a huge piece of dinosaur skin. His shoulder pads are dinosaur skin. The Tyrannosaurus Rex and the gun on the inside are separate pieces. His hand and his shield are separate pieces. And then he has 3 different portraits we're actually going to look at. So here's the first one. It's kind of what I would call a smirking portrait. And all of these, I'm not a huge fan of these portraits in general, but I think they're all very similar. Here is the other standard portrait it comes with. His mouth closed, more intense. And then the final portrait, which this is the exclusive, so only 200 of these pieces came with this. His mouth is more open. You see his teeth. I don't dig teeth on Transformers. So this is definitely not an exclusive or fail to me, especially for $50 more. Now, one cool thing, there is a light up feature powered by AA batteries. All the portraits light up. Here's one of them. And then here is the cannon inside the Tyrannosaurus mouth. It also lights up. We didn't talk about scale on this. This is non-scaled, but it is a little bit smaller than the Michael Bay Prime 1 Studios Transformers, which I think they're 1/10. I can't recall exactly off the top of my head. So I'd say it's probably around 1/10 or so. I'm trying to think of some of the other dinosaur pieces that are out there. But I like what they did a lot here with the design. It takes up a lot of room, but it's not too much room, and it still shows a lot of presence. There's so much different stuff going on. I like how they incorporated, if you can get past the, it was a dinosaur, now it's a transformer, that the coolest part of the Tyrannosaurus is still a really cool part of the statue. How you can see both the electronics and the skin, and some of the skin is where it originally was and some is moved. I think that's pretty neat. I like the design on this a lot. And really, I've had no issues other than the breakages. Everything, the magnets are really strong. The light up feature works great. It's easy to turn on and turn off. I don't know how long the batteries will last. So I think the design is also a W, a 4 out of 5 on this. As usual with Paint and Sculpt, we'll start right here at the bottom and we'll move to the top, talk about them together, and then rate them separately at the end, unless they have the same score. So I do like this futuristic base. There's a lot going on here. I think the paint is a little flat. They could have used some more colors besides the black and the silver. The gold on the poles helps mix it up. So I like the sculpt on it a lot better than I like the paint. And I call these sub bases. I think here it works really well. Here's the Predacon symbol. I assume that's what that is on the front. Traditionally, Transformer statues, they always have the Autobot or Decepticon symbol. On the base here, first thing I want to look at is the rock. The rock sculpt is less than average. It could have been much better. There's not a lot of detail or texture in there, and the paint they chose doesn't really help it. It's kind of this one variation of gray. It looks okay. What I'm not a fan of on the base, here you see the sand. The sand looks really good. It actually is very texturized. It's painted well. It's spread out. But underneath the sand is this stupid, ugly poo mud color that doesn't look good. It's a very small part of the statue, but I think it's a huge miss. What I do like is a lot of these pieces they have thrown on here. Like I said, you assume that he just destroyed an Autobot, and these are pieces from that Autobot. Some of them look very close to the one that you have here with the sword through the eye. I think that's a really cool, nice touch. Especially, I can't wait to pair these off again, or this off against the Optimus. Let's look at Megatron. First, his feet. Here are the electronic heel parts I was talking about. I don't understand why they did this, unless it was an engineering or stability thing. Then I do understand. But kind of interesting how they're on the heels of the Tyrannosaur. The Tyrannosaur nails look fabulous. I'm seeing a little chip right here. There are 2 chips that I missed, but I didn't pay anything for the statue, so I really can't complain. But the nails look great. The shiny enamel, the different colorization. The skin on the T-Rex, I mean, if you can get past the fact that it's purple, which T-Rexes may have been purple, we don't know. It looks awesome. There is some great skin texture in here, the variations in the purple, some grays that they added to it. It looks really good, and you're going to see this all over the statue. The anatomy of a T-Rex, but it almost looks like humanoid musculature to a point. Very, very cool. And as you move up the legs, you start to see some of the metallic parts within the T-Rex skin. Here's those pads on the side with the claws. Just like the feet, they look great. On the front of them, there's these little cannons or connection features. And let's look at the inside of his thighs here. This is where you see a lot of that a lot of the mechanical aspect of the robotic form of Megatron. And I'm not a huge fan of the purple all over the statue, but they pulled it off very well. The really metallic purple that is kind of the robot skin compared to the skin of the Transformer, and then you see kind of these dials or thrusters, a different color of purple. It all contrasts really well, especially with some of the black in there. Here's the shot of the back. So what's interesting is his legs have all these tubes running up and down. Let's flip back to the front and his torso here. A lot of cool stuff going on. I like the way they displayed it. Almost looks like battle armor. And here it's black to break up some of that purple. On his collar here, it almost looks like these are dinosaur teeth, but they're obviously not because that was from the Tyrannosaurus Rex. So I think that's just a cool artistic take on it. Let's look at the T-Rex head. This is fabulous. This looks really good. I haven't ordered it yet, but I'm going to order the Prime Rotunda Prime 1 T-Rex because this was made years ago. So if they did this good on the skin textures and the coloring, look at his eye. Look inside the mouth, looks awesome. It's almost a translucent tongue. Teeth look great. The coloring on them with the cannon right in the back. And the same can be said for the exterior skin of the shield. A lot of the same, but it's great. And check out the inside of it here. So you have another gun, you have his hand holding the shield. Very cool take on this, both the concept and the paint and sculpt. Here's the back of his torso. As you see, there is only one tiny arm. The other one they're shipping to me. Yeah, this is definitely a centerpiece statue. Let's look at his portraits, and in my opinion, this is the weakest part of the body. So they're all very similar. It has the Predacon symbol on the forehead. Very boxy. I'm not a fan of these. I'm not a fan of the expression on Megatron's face. I like that they incorporated the different colors of purples and blacks and silver. So they followed the color scheme of the statue. But this is the smirking one. You see a little bit of his teeth. And check out the one with the teeth where he's showing all the teeth. Not digging this at all. The teeth just ruin it for me. I would prefer not the exclusive if I had a choice. Save 50 bucks. And here's the final one. It'll probably be between the smirking one and this that I display. Just not a lot going on this portrait. I don't even really have words, but I am disappointed in it. So we're in one of those situations as usual where the portrait, certain aspects of the base are like, and then some of it is like, wow, that's amazing. And it's always hard to rate those things. But let's start with the paint. I think the paint is very nice. I think it's 3 out of 5 on this. There's certain parts I would give a higher grade to, especially the dinosaur skin. The sculpt, though, I think is definitely a 4 out of 5. It's a rail. Usually if it's a brand new piece, we talk about value, but because it's not brand new and it doesn't go for retail anymore, that's a really hard category to judge. For this particular piece, the value would be the highest score possible, obviously knowing with what happened with it. But overall, I think it's great. I think it's unique, it's different. The fact that it does flip for more, has a lower ES, kind of shows what a cool piece it is. So I'm going to go ahead and give it an overall. I think this is a rail of a statue. It was for me. It was not a grail necessarily, but a statue I really wanted. I was prepared to pay $1,500. That was kind of my top line. So very, very cool piece. Let me know your thoughts below. Let me know if you think this is a rail. Give me your rating on this piece. But I really appreciate you guys watching. Here is what he looks like in the temporary display. So this is very temporary. I have more Transformers coming in. I need to move some stuff around. And you're seeing it from the future. You're seeing it before I do. But now, let me know what you think this guy is and what your favorite Transformer statue is. Take care, guys.